I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk, and I'm not a jerk. Apparently, I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. It's good to be here, folks. Honestly, I mean, I know you're thinking to yourselves, what the hell? Why, does he want to do this? I do. I really do. I really want to. Mainly, can you hear my voice today? I don't know. To me, to you guys, you're probably like, he sounds like himself. But to me, I sound like a fuck machine. I sound awesome. My voice sounds great. And I hate to go explicit right from the jump because I talked last week about how many F-bombs I was dropping. And it got to me. I'm not going to lie to you folks. I made an appointment with a counselor. No, I didn't. A fuck counselor. That's what I met. I met with a fuck counselor. And it was like the scene in Singing in the Rain where they're trying to teach Gene Hagen to speak correctly. Ta-te-ti-to fuck. All right. And yes, I'm the gayest man alive that I just referenced Singing in the Rain. So suck on that. I love that movie, man. I like. It's funny because Pardo was a musicals guy, and I am too. But not like him. Like he's crazy. I like certain ones, you know what I mean, but I don't. I'm not obsessing over them. I very rarely pull out my Les Miserables costume, and because I like to watch it naked. All right, so hey, listen, what does this sound like to you folks? Because normally I click my teeth together, right, and I go like this. Okay, but I was doing this before the show. And in my head, that sounds like a helicopter. I'm not going to lie to you folks. It sounds like a crazy, like a chopper, almost like a traffic chopper or maybe a police copter. I can extrapolate a whole scene out of what it sounds like, folks. It sounds like something from a movie. It sounds like SWAT, the television show from the 70s. And there's Robert Urich. But I said that to Lily. I go, hey, did you tape that? She goes, yeah. And I go, play it back. I want to hear what that sounds like. So she plays it back. And again, in my head, that's a chopper. In my head, I'm solving crimes. I'm flying all over the place. I've got John McClane from Die Hard on a tow rope swinging underneath it. Or perhaps like it's the Matrix where they're on the top of the roof and then Neo's trying to shoot us down. So that's what I hear. I hear an entire adventure scene in my head when I hear that noise. And I said to Lily, I go, what does that sound like to you? She said, sounds like somebody going down on a chick. Really? I said, well, man, they are doing it wrong because that is all teeth and attitude, and I don't know why that would be involved in any sort of going down. And she's like, well, no. And then she gives me the most technical explanation I've ever heard. Like, it sounds like that tiny noise, like where it's like just a little, like a flickering, and I'm like, all right, seriously, I don't need to hear you longingly break down what it's like to go down on somebody. I'm familiar with the sound, and never once has it involved the clicking or chattering of my teeth, except for one time when it was freezing outside, and yet we continued to do it. And I went down on somebody and wound up, my teeth were chattering, and so I was very careful, to keep my teeth at a distance because God knows I don't want to go chomping something off, and all of a sudden then Whoopi Goldberg's doing a special about me, because of female castration. Exactly, folks, keep up, please. So that's, I guess my point is, don't ever go down on a girl in a freezer because eventually you're gonna lop something off that shouldn't be lopped off, and then National Geographic is knocking on your door doing a fucking story about you, and then the Tootsie Warlord comes through and he wants to sign you up, and you're like, dude, it was an accident, honestly. So by all means, folks, if you're gonna go down on somebody, do it in a warm place. I was very shocked that I'm like weirded out. This happened. All right. I was talking to Karen this week. Karen had to go get waxed this week, and I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, it's $100, with the tip. And I'm like, holy fuck, are you serious? That doesn't make any sense. That seems like a lot of dough. Until you think about what it is the person is doing, and then you go, oh well, okay, I guess that makes sense. But still, I was still in my my raging moment. So I go, wow, that's steep. Like, because it was one of those things where it just was something that got done. Like, I never paid attention to it and didn't care. It was just like, oh, okay, this is happening now. Fantastic. But now that, the screws are being tightened a little bit, I was like, whoa, hold on a second. And jokingly, semi-jokingly, maybe not jokingly, she said it was $100, and I'm like, man, you ought to let me do it. And, yeah. Yeah, and I was kidding, but then part of me is just like, how hard could it be? Seriously, I've held a candle, and I know what where to pour stuff, and then the pulling and then that's just not a good idea, because it's like my wife's got enough reasons to hate me or think I'm a dick. The last thing I want her to do is associate me with whatever pain that could possibly involve. So, but here's my favorite thing. I said, I go, you ought to let me do it, and she goes, Lily knows how to do it. And I went, okay, you should call her. And she said, I will. And I said, no way are you calling her. That is not happening. How weird would that be? She goes, it's not weird at all. I go, what do you mean it's not weird at all? You have got to be fucking kidding me. She goes, no, it's medical. I said, seriously, on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird is it if you're laying there with your feet up on Lily's shoulders and she's going to work on you? I don't even want to look anybody in the eye after that. I'm not even in the room. Although, quite frankly, maybe I want to be in the room. I just for technical reasons, just so I know what to do in case Lily's unavailable the next time. And but I couldn't. So I said, seriously, on a scale of 1 to 10, honestly, how fucking weird would that be if you let Lily do that to you? And she goes, well, it's no more weird than when I wound up having my surgery for cancer, and your mom had to change my dressings and said, Karen, you've really got great breasts. So I guess that's something my wife's been dragging around for 7 years that I didn't realize was that creepy. I mean, I thought... I'm sure it was, my mom was giving her a pep talk because she just had a lumpectomy, and so she's just kind of making sure. She goes, you know what, your breasts are still great. That your shelf is intact, everything's fine. I mean, I like to think that was just my mom giving a pep talk of some sort, or or just being awkward. I mean, she's sitting there, her daughter-in-law's shirt is off, and she's maneuvering and changing things and touching things she shouldn't be touching ever, and but it's all, like I said, straight up medical. So she's probably like, You've got great breasts. I mean, it was probably like that. I think it was haltingly. I think my mom delivered it in a weird, you've got great breasts still. Everything's fine. This isn't weird at all. I'm not going to shoot myself. But apparently my wife, like I said, 7 years after the fact, finds it to be really crazy weird. And I guess that's fine because, if I was laid up and her mom had to work on my balls, I wouldn't be too happy about that. You know what I mean? That would just be just horrendous if hold on. Yeah, the police are coming because that remark was completely out of bounds. They said, you know what, dude, that was against the law. The fact that you would even talk about your mother-in-law grabbing your sack, that makes no sense at all. You do not want her hand anywhere near your pills. You don't. And I agree, I don't. Especially if it's their picking hand, because, we all know she's a devastating guitarist. I don't want, she may have actually grown her nails out, because she likes Esteban. She may have grown her nails completely long for picking purposes, because she's finger picking. She doesn't have time to use a pick. She's old. She's learning how to do it with her fingers. So the last thing I want to do is let that talon get next to my nuts. That's not happening. And of course it's not happening. Why would that even be an issue? Listen, what's keeping my mother-in-law's hand away from my balls? Her sharp nails. That's what it is. Otherwise, let me tell you, I welcome her hand into my shorts anytime she wants. She wants to slide a hand up into my silky Calvin Klein Pima cotton boxers, then by all means, go ahead and do it. Oh, wait a minute. What's that? Your fingernails are a little long? Back off, Grandma. You are not getting a handful of my freshly shorn balls. All right. That's right, freshly shorn. But not now, not today. I mean when I go visit her, because I shave my balls every time I go visit my in-laws. I do it just in case something happens. You never know you never know. Folks, I want to be prepared. Every time I go over to my in-laws' house, I want to make sure my balls are completely shaved. I don't know why. But seriously, it's just the thing to do. Just in case something happens. Just in case what? I don't know. But when that something does happen, I'll know. When something finally happens at my in-laws' house that requires shaved balls, boom, I am on the scene and I am ready to take care of it. And let's be honest, that's just common sense. Because very rarely does something occur where someone goes, we need some hairy balls. Nobody ever needs hairy balls. That's not a situation that ever arises. Never has those words been uttered. No one went, Jesus Christ, we need some hairy balls to get us out of this situation. That has never happened. However, I'm sure on occasion someone's gone, dude, if we had some shaved balls, everything would work out perfectly. Boom, there I am. I whip out a tea bag, everybody goes, wow, how smooth, and then we move on with our lives. And my sister-in-laws are shocked and stunned, and all my nieces and nephews won't talk to me again. But that's okay, because my shaved balls got us out of a tough situation, and that's what matters. I don't think they listen to the show, but if they do, they just collect everything off. Oh, we need some shaved balls stat. All right, got them right here, done. I like to make sure I got them cleaned up right when I go over there. Every Christmas I do it. It's actually a ritual. Karen and I will get out a mistletoe and shave my balls just before I go to my in-laws' house. Oh, yeah, that's great. So, you know what I should do? I should just get them waxed. That's what I should do. I understand Lily's good at that. Lily knows what to do. So next time I go on the road, Lily can go ahead and wax it up for me. Karen's actually pushed me to do that. She's like, you ought to get waxed. I'm like, I don't think that would work out at all. Do you really want that to happen? Do you think you think Kim down at the salon is really interested in seeing my balls? But they do guys at this salon, which they have to because the porn industry is in this town. So of course, guys are getting waxed all over the place, and also a lot of guys go see their in-laws, so they want to make sure that they're smoothed over. They want to make sure they've got everything under smooth control. Smooth control. That's a really cool name for like a band or a seminar. All right. That's a band you'd see in a hotel somewhere, like in a hotel lobby. Hey, folks, how you doing? We're Smooth Control. Why don't you grab a Tom Collins and wait out your flight? We're going to go ahead and regale you with the girl from Ipanema. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-da. Shave my balls, doot, doot. All right. That's right, folks. That's what it's come to. A song about shaving your balls. I wonder if waxing would be better, because we've talked about me nicking. I've had a nick down there, and then it bled like a Tarantino movie. So I'm wondering if waxing would be the move. I wonder. I don't. Lily's windows are open here at her place, and so I don't know if you keep hearing this siren. That's what I keep hearing. Oh, you know what I think it is actually? I think they heard the helicopter earlier, and they're just buzzing. They're like, "What the hell? We have reports of a chopper in the area, but we can't find it. Is it Black Ops? They think it's Black Ops." And I can't blame them. But then there's a faction in the police department who went, that was no chopper. That was a guy going down on a chick. Folks, I don't know if they're trying to call back the police. So right now that debate is raging at the police department. But they still sent out a car just to find out, just in case. They got their sirens on, and they're pointing their things at the sky. All right. That's what you get, folks. 48 episodes into the run. That's what you hear. Shave balls. 48 episodes. Well, let's be honest. We haven't heard this on 30 of the other 48. I mean, this has been a running topic. This is something that fascinates me, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. No, I'm completely lying to you. That doesn't fascinate me at all. It's just kind of a byproduct of your normal day. Really? You're shaving your balls? All right. So, who shaves them every day? Who gets a 5 o'clock ball shadow they got to trim off? I like to give it a little breathing room. I like to get a little 5 o'clock shadow. I like to get I let it go and I let it breathe for. I guess I would call it how many weeks would that be? Why am I going to clue you in on this schedule? All right, never mind. Go to my website. I'll post a ball shaving schedule for everybody, and you can follow along. And it's great. It's a picture of me, like the game Operation. It's me, but with with a ball shaving area. That's a drawing of me naked with and a big red nose, and it's like, don't shave the balls, and the buzzer goes off. That's not on the web. It should be. All right, and do not get any ideas, web designers who write me all the time. Hey, Mike, we put your disgusting naked body, and so people can shave your balls. It's like. It's like those games with the metal shavings, and you get the magnet pen, and you draw a beard on a guy. This way, you get a little magnet razor, and you can shave all the metal filings off his balls. There you go, clean. Why? I get rid of the ball talk. What are you doing, dude? I'm lost in balls. It's like Air Supply. I'm lost in balls, and I don't know much. Christ, I can't shake it. I can't shake my balls. All right, so I'm an idiot. This is a hell of a lot of ball talk. Which normally, if you were like, hey, I was listening to the radio and I heard a lot of ball talk, like you'd be like sports talk radio. Hey, we were talking basketball, we're talking football. And it's like, nope, this guy's talking his stones. And he's talking about how he gets rid of them, how he cleans them up. This guy's talking about nair in his bag. All right, so, nair in your bag. Jerry Nair in your bag. Jerry Nair is a major league manager. All right, never mind. Shut up. God damn it. I got to shake the balls. All right. Episode 48. That's what happened. It will be forever known as the ball episode. Episode Arizona, folks. Episode Arizona, and just like Arizona, this episode does not like black people. All right, so this episode, doesn't Arizona, they're like, I think they don't like black people, right? Don't they? It's like hot down there and they're angry at the blacks. I think they are. This episode is not like that, folks. This episode has love for all creeds and all races, but this episode exists merely to comment on the Arizona's hatred of the black race. We don't. That's why I created episode 48. Was to talk about how because didn't they? Yeah, they voted against the Martin Luther King holiday down there. Like, I mean, you got to really, really hate black people to not want a day off. That's just crazy, right? Seriously, I'm not kidding. That's not even funny. John McCain. It was like, why didn't that even come up? I would have brought that up to John McCain the whole time he was running for president. I would have just dropped it right in his face. Hey, aren't you from Arizona? Don't you hate most of Americans? Seriously. Are black people most of Americans? I don't know anymore. There's blacks and Hispanics. I would assume they hate Hispanics, but they hate blacks, right? Arizona's very angry. It's funny. I hate New Mexico. I can't stand it. I've had nothing but bad times in New Mexico except for one meal. So, I had one very good meal in New Mexico, and then everything else was a fucking nightmare. But now you know what? Arizona has now leaped into the forefront of my mind because again, their hatred of blacks will not be tolerated. Take that, Arizona. Although I will say this, as much as I enjoy everybody. I love all creeds and all colors, and I welcome everybody under the giant Mike Schmidt 40-year-old boy tent. However, I have to tell you this. We will fly a proud American flag, but I think I might even think about flying the Stars and Bars flag because I think that is a fucking awesome looking flag. I understand it stands for the genocide and hatred of a people. I understand that, and I understand people in Arizona are like, woohoo, let's put this sticker on our car because we don't like anybody that's black. But I was thinking about it just a couple weeks ago. I saw the Stars and Bars, like a big one. They were waving it at a football game or something because God knows that's when you want to invoke one of the darkest periods in this country's history is at a football game. Hey, all of you guys running out there and banging into each other for our amusement. Remember, 100 years ago, you wouldn't be able to do this because we'd own you. That's weak. So, but don't bring your Stars and Bars to a football game. And again, I'm not in favor of what the Stars and Bars represents, but just aesthetically, from a visual standpoint, that is a fucking awesome looking flag. And I say that with not a hint of Lynyrd Skynyrd irony in my blood. There is nothing about, I am not Sweet Home Alabamaing anybody. I just think it's cool looking. The color scheme on it, and honestly, because we came up with the first flag, and then, bombs bursting in air, and Betsy Ross, and it was stitched together, and, yay, patriotism. But then when the South went, hey, what about this flag? How did the rest of the country not go, fuck, that flag is awesome, this flag is out? Who did Betsy Ross blow to get that flag to be the national flag? George Washington. That's who she blew, right? Were they even alive at the same time? I think they were, right? Betsy Ross and George Washington? I saw John Adams. You think I'd know this? Yeah, Betsy Ross, that's what it was. It's a conspiracy. She went down on George Washington, and he was like, wow, and his wooden teeth flew out of his mouth because she was so good at it. And she said, he said, what can I do for you? And she said, you know what? I've got this doily that I made. Boom, it's on a pole over the White House. Done. Damn it. And it's called it's named the White House, which I'm sure you've all heard. Haha, there's a joke. But I mean, it's called the White House. Wouldn't they then go with the Stars and Bars because of what those indicate? Terrible. All right, but still. Again, folks, if you don't like this, blame Arizona. I'm very upset at Arizona because of their hatred of the blacks. The only reason I'm saying this is because this is episode 48, and Arizona was the 48th state in the Union. That's the only reason that this came up at all. And because it's Black History Month. That's why. I wanted to make sure. In my head, I said, you know what, dude? At some point during Black History Month, kick Arizona in the fucking face. They deserve it. It's hot. It's a bunch of crazy people walking around in the heat in the desert, and that you want to make sure that there's one other state that you can't go to besides New Mexico. And it's funny because I picture because I talked about New Mexico a few times and I just did not like it there because I've had people try to steal things from me there and I had to stop for gas at like an Indian reservation and was shunned and so I honestly I don't care if New Mexico doesn't like me because I'm never going back, never ever. Arizona I however may have to go to because Phoenix I heard is nice. All right, so except for the fact that they don't like black people. If you can get past that fact about Phoenix, I understand they have some fantastic hot springs down there. However, rest assured that you will not be able to bring any of your black friends to them. But they are still nice from what I've heard. All right, so what? Black History Month. That's so again, I am not in favor of what the stars and bars represents. Let me go ahead and say that right now. But I will tell you again, awesome fucking looking flag. All right. Because the blue is so, and the red is like a deeper red than forget it. So, again, I don't care about what it stood for, but dude, it looks great. I'm an idiot. Black History Month. I don't know, what stories do I have that are relevant for Black History Month? What could I possibly say? I don't know. Now it's stupid. Now I'm like thinking about stories that would be relevant to Black, I like peanut butter. How does that sound, folks? Didn't that guy, a black guy discovered peanut butter, right? George Washington Carver. All right, good. He discovered, I enjoyed the television show The White Shadow. That was a bunch of black guys. And the reason I thought of that was because Carver was the high school, right? George Washington Carver discovered peanut butter and he named the high school The White Shadow. This is all useless Black History Month trivia. I'll tell you, you know what? I'll say this. When I lived in Tahoe, which I talked about a little bit last week, I wound up working in a bar. As I've mentioned, I was bouncing in that bar and DJing in that bar. And when I say I was DJing, again, I was just filling in as the DJ because my friend, DJ, yes, his name was DJ and he was a DJ. I know it seems impossible. And I don't even know if if his real name was DJ. He had... Like, that was his Indian name, and I know that sounds ridiculous, and at the time it sounded ridiculous, but it helped him get laid. But what did he care? He didn't care at all, because, like I said, his real name was Greg, but his Indian name was Django. I'm not even kidding. But he would give his name was like, actually, was it... Yeah, great. Yeah, Django. Oh, I can't say his full name because that's what this whole show is about, is me not saying full names. You know, my show, it's funny. I was watching A-Rod's podcast yesterday about steroids and watching him talk and go on and on. His show, his press conference was like my podcast because he couldn't give any real names or dates and he couldn't commit to anything because there might be some sort of incriminating evidence that came out. He's just like, yeah, my cousin and I were doing that, and I'm not sure what it was we were doing, but we went ahead and we got it from here, and just, everything was so vague, and I'm watching and I'm furious, and then I'm realizing, hey, that's what people probably think when they listen to my show, because they want, like, names and last names. Like, people were asking me last names and, like, what the record store was after I talked about that. It's like, I'm not going to say. I mean, just in case there's some litigious cocksucker who still works for them who's, like, been, you know, like, you ever see Seinfeld when they have the library cop? What if there's one guy who's associated with that record chain who's still trying to track down why everything went to hell? And I want nothing to do with it. So that name will never be said. And so suck on that, flip side. All right, so I will tell you that so I watched A-Rod's podcast yesterday. His podcast. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a podcast, A-Rod. And how sad was it, folks? Did you see it? It was so pathetic. And he's talking about, he never said steroids. And then he actually said, I don't think what I was doing was steroids. Really? What are they injecting you with? Fucking pixie sticks? Honestly, you fucking hump. And then he's like, my cousin and I did it. It was amateur hour. Yeah, because I can remember the times in my youth when my cousin and I would just inject each other with needles because it was the thing to do. Who the fuck are you kidding? And he actually used the phrase like, I was experimenting with my cousin. I got to be honest. In the old days, that used to either mean you had a measuring tape out, or all right, I'm not gonna. I don't want to say anything, but because I had a crush on one of my cousins growing up, like my cousin Karen, and like not even like a sex crush. You ever have that where you just know that you really like somebody? Because I was young, I was a kid, I didn't know anything, and I just knew that I wanted to be with her all the time, like because she was so cool, and she was a little older than me, and so we would go to her house, and then I would look at her, I would stare at her Black Sabbath Paranoid album, and just be like, oh, I love Karen, but then she's my cousin, so you're like, oh, I'm a kid, I gotta let this go. So And so I let it go about a year ago. And but yeah, to hear A-Rod talking about steroids, and not even talking about steroids, just that vague, well, I could have done something, but I'm not sure. It just reminded me of my show. All right, so what was I talking about? DJ. All right, so Deej and I, he was one of the guys I lived with in Tahoe, and then he was the DJ, and I was the rapper. That's how it worked with the Fresh Prince. All right, so he was the DJ, and then I would fill in with him because he would go to get laid. And then I would have to go up to the booth, and I would run the booth, and then we all heard about what happened in the booth several times. But there was another DJ who worked there, and this girl was named Molly. And Molly was an African-American woman. So she had fled to Tahoe from Arizona because they did not want her there. They were adamant about it. They chased her to the border, and she ran, and then she got to Tahoe somehow. So she wound up working there. And it was weird. Within 2 weeks of her working there, I would see her, and we had like a chemistry, like there was a vibe there, and I didn't, and again, you got to know at this time, I was just a fucking walking hard on. Like I was, at this point, I had been laid, and so all I was looking to do was just ravage everything that was in my way. Dogs, cats, trees, mud, as Lenny Bruce would say, everything was going down. So I was just in testosterone overdrive, and I met Molly, and again, Molly, African-American woman, and I was, I'm sure, probably excited about that. I was excited about a lot of things, but I mean, I who cares at this point? Anybody who smiled at me was getting fucked. I didn't care. So Molly and I wound up pairing off, and one night, just it was like the shift ended, because it was a bar that closed around 7 a.m, and then we would all go over to this after hours bar because it's fucking Nevada. You could do whatever the fuck you wanted. So rather than everybody was going over to the Goalpost and go eat Goalpost burgers and play foosball and video poker, I looked at her and she looked at me and she's like, "Hey, you want to ride home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do." And we wind up back at her place going at it. And I mean like fucking hardcore, like, right, one of those crazy things like you see in a movie where the door opens and then you close it and you're leaning up against that door and you don't even get out of the foyer before you're on the ground fucking, like that kind of craziness. So we're going and doing that. And I'm there like the whole night. Like, I mean, and she, up to this point, like I said, I'd been banging people, but, I'm still kind of finding my way on what I'm supposed to do. And I'm, you're picking up little pieces from everybody that you're with and you're incorporating them and you're like, oh, I got game. I'm going to try to feature it here. But then she stepped it up like to a completely different level. Like she went down on me with a mouthful of water. Like she was like, oh, hold on. And she put water in her mouth to go down on me. And I'm just like, this, again, for a guy who's, this is all new to him, I'm just like, this changes the game a little bit. This is fantastic. And also, this is my first African-American woman I'm ever with, and I'm just like, is that a thing? Is that a thing that they do? Is that a community thing? I don't know what's happening. Because, again, I'm 21. I don't know what the fuck is happening. So, we're going at it, and all night long, I mean, in every room of her apartment, and just that it was great. I mean, it was the greatest, and then we're taking a bath. I mean, it was like that kind of thing. It just happened. And then the next, we go out and have some breakfast, and she brings me home, and I walk in, and I lived with DJ at the time, and he's just like, "What happened to you, dude?" I go, "Dude, don't even." And he's like, "Well," because then they do the math. I live with like 3 other dudes, and they're like, "Well, wait, we were there, and who was there when we left?" Like, there was these, those girls were there, and then those girls from Kentucky were there, but that wasn't that. Oh, wait. And I go, "No, don't even." And they go, "Dude, did you go home with Molly?" I go, "No, I didn't go home with Molly," because that would have been decided. We're not talking about this. And they're like, "Dude, you did. You worked Molly last night." And I'm like, "No, I swear to God, I didn't." They're like, "Well, who were you with then?" I said, "Nobody. I went to the casino to gamble." "Really? That's what you did?" My hair is completely piled up on top of my head. My shirt's on backwards. Yeah, that happens a lot at the casino. So these guys are like, "Oh man, I can't believe you," because there was a thing, like I said, she had just started there, and I guess they were all figuring out who was going to get her, and because I'm not going to lie to you, guys do that, folks. You wind up working with a girl, and everybody's like, "Hey, who's going to bang that chick?" And unbelievably, me, who's 4th place out of 4, I don't even get a bronze medal out of the 3 guys. I lived with Craig, Ransom, and DJ, and all those guys did was fucking lay pipe all over Tahoe, and yet I was the one who scored Molly. They were like, and it was funny. This will give you an idea of the level of friendship. Craig and Ransom were like, "Dude," and they were like all happy, and DJ was pissed. Like he was pissed that he didn't get fucking plant his flag before I did, and I was like, "Hey man, fuck that," because he was even more mad because she worked with him in the DJ booth like for 2 weeks, and the whole thing was, and so she wound up saying, "Hi, you know what? I think I'll take the bouncer instead," so he couldn't handle the fucking blow to his ego. And I don't know why it should have mattered to him. Who fucking cares? Because I mean, I'm telling you, that guy got fucking serious tail. I mean, and he was the guy. He and I shared a room. So that was always, I would come home and then he'd have some chick in there on his giant waterbed, and I slept on the floor. But I would, again, I'm not an animal. I would stay out in the living room while he was going to work. And then that girl would sneak out in the middle of the night and say, "Hi, Mike," and then leave. And then I would go back into the room and her underwear would be on the wall. And because that's what we did. We would collect underwear and we would put it on the wall. Except I didn't collect Molly's, and that was another thing they busted my balls on. They're like, "Dude, you banged." The whole point is we're supposed to be bringing the underwear home and putting it on the fucking wall, dude. What is wrong with you? And I'm just like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that because half the time I was standing on my fucking head getting laid. It was crazy. I didn't have time to steal underwear. My hands were busy trying to secure the ropes. All right, so it was insane. So we wind up, and then I got to go. So then I got to go to work the next night, and Molly's there. I was like, "Hi," and I don't know. Again, I'm new at all of this, so I haven't done the crazy one night thing and then seeing somebody the next day. I've not had that yet. Everybody I've banged a few times, or it's been some tourist chick who I was in her hotel room and I split. But this time it was somebody I actually had to go to work and see the next day. So imagine that, like you walk in and she's like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Hi," and you go for like an awkward hug kind of, and she's just like, "No, that's not happening." And then I have to pretend like I was just like doing a swim dance. Like I don't know what the fuck happens. So she's in the DJ booth and we're working and everything's fine. And, and I figured, well, I'm going to go ahead and take another shot at this. So closing time, I went to Molly and I was like, "Hey, can I get a ride home?" Because I know what that was code for yesterday. And she's like, "Nah, I don't think so. I got to get home tonight." And so then that's a death blow because then I'm like, "Oh man, was I awful at this?" Like, because then it opens up all sorts of, cans of worms and self-doubt. Because again, I'm new to this. So I don't know if I'm doing it right or I did what I was told that night. I'll be honest, that night I didn't really have to do much. I just kind of did what I was told. I held the fan and I moved the lamp and I grabbed the headboard and, I stood on the bed when I was told and I laid down when I was told. So, I was a fuck puppet the entire night, and that was fine. And I thought I did a great job. And I'm a younger man, so and I was there a few hours. Let's do the math, folks. I mean, I went back for fourths. I mean, we went off, and so I thought I did a great job. Like I was, because again, as a guy, you're keeping score. Like in your mind, you're just like, "Oh, dude, I fucking knocked the bottom out of that." But apparently, the bottom was well secured because. The next night I was like, "Hey man, let's can I get a ride home?" No. All right. So, and then like a handshake, you know what I mean? Or a kiss on the cheek and she's gone. So I was disappointed. So a couple days go by and, I'm at work one night and, I take a break because I'm the bouncer and I go into the restroom and, Molly's not working at this time. And, I go use the restroom and I am in so much pain when I go to the urinal. I take a piss and it's like, I mean, like the weirdest thing, like I'm pissing razor blades. Like this had never happened to me before. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I just like, I shine it. I go, well, whatever the fuck. Cause maybe I drank something. Then I go home and I sleep. I don't know. Cause again, you're 20. Who knows? Who thinks? So I wake up the next day and, I'm all right. I'm going to try to spare you folks the completely graphic thing, but let's just say that I have. I'm trying to. I can't. I don't know how to. All right. There was a nocturnal emission. Let's put it that way. There was a nocturnal emission, but it wasn't like a pleasant kind. Like it wasn't accompanied by a dream of, "Hey, this is of me at a carnival in the salt and pepper shakers with Cheryl Teagues." It was instead it was a little different, and I got up and I'm like, "Oh, that's not good at all," and I was in pain. Like it felt like I had stuck my dick into a toaster oven, if that makes any sense to anybody. It was like bright red. Like it felt like it had the worst sunburn ever, and the toaster oven analogy is apt because there was melted cheese. So it was gruesome. I mean, it was really bad. And I'm sorry to drop that on you. I apologize. But you know what, folks? I got to paint a picture. So it was, and I'm like, I go, well, you know what? Just go take a shower. Everything will be fine if you take a shower. And it's funny, my friend Pat always makes fun of me because that's my solution for everything. Whenever I get sick, I go, man, I feel awful. I got to take a super hot shower. I mean, I don't care if I have the flu or if my arm was cut off in a thresher. I'm going to take a hot shower and everything's going to be fine. So I go in to take a hot shower, and I'm going to tell you, hot water and soap just aggravates and exacerbates the pain and the condition. It just, I mean, sure, it makes it a little more pleasant to look at, but very little. And I wind up, I take a shower, and I get out of the shower, and I go to dry myself off, and it's like I can't even dry the area. Like, it's so susceptible to shooting pains when I touch it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And so now it starts to dawn on me that something might be wrong. So and then I think, well, what the hell? What could it be? Am I? And then, because again, I've never had any sort of sex, so I don't really think about STDs. And then I go, wait a minute, I might have. And then it dawns. I'm like, I might have. What? And then I don't even know the name of them. Like, I'm trying to think of the name, and I go, it's the drip. Like I think of every war movie I've ever thought of in my life. And I go, I got the drip or the clap. The clap, that's what it is, the clap. And or the stomp, or what the fuck. That's what it was. It was the stomp. Because you know why? Because somebody hit my dick with a trash can lid. That's what happened. Some guy took a push broom and ran it over my cock, and then two other guys smashed a trash can lid on it. I had the stomp. All right. So I had, but honestly, like, I'm like, I got the drip or the clap. Like, I didn't know, I couldn't even think of the technical name of what I had. So I go to DJ, who is, he's my touchstone for getting laid. I mean, this guy's just like banged everybody and everything. So I said to him, I get out of the shower, I get dressed, and I go, hey, I got to ask you a question. And he's like, yeah. And I go, dude, my dick is fucked up. I mean, I can't even think about, we're not good enough friends for me to say, sir, my penis is inflamed. Like, I mean, I got to try to, still guy it up. And all the guys are home, and I'm like, God, my dick is fucked up. And they're like, what do you mean? And I go, dude, it's just not good. I can't even touch it. And when I piss, it's like I'm pissing out fucking razor wire. I mean, it's just, there's something wrong. And there's like a beat, and my buddy Craig goes, well, let's see it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, seriously, dude, we got to see it because we got to know what's going on. And I'm like, nobody has to see it. Are you fucking kidding me? And he goes, look, we're just trying to help. And he's like completely straight face, but Ransom and DJ are fucking cracking up. They're just like, yeah, we got to see it. And I'm like, guys, come on. And they're like, no, dude, because it could be anything. Like, you could have, it could just be a temporary thing, or you could have like a long-term deal. Like, the appearance really matters. And I trusted Craig because Craig was a crap dealer. So obviously he's got a lot of medical knowledge because he's a croupier. And anybody who's a croupier is going to be able to know anything at all about diseases. Now, Ransom, he was a poker dealer, and DJ, again, he was a DJ. I don't trust their medical knowledge so much. But Craig, let me tell you something. Again, if you're a croupier and you're handling dice all day, I got to, because again, he's a dick and balls man anyway, because when a croupier, he's got that big stick, and then he's handling two dice the whole time. So he's got a stick and two dice, and I got a problem with my stick and two dice. So that's the guy I go to. So I go, are you serious? And he goes, yeah, let's see it. And I go, all right. So I'm wearing shorts, like loose fitting shorts, because I am in such fucking pain. And I have but I wore underwear also because the shorts would have been evident that something was wrong. Does that make any sense? Because again, we get back to the name, the drip. So I just pull it out. I just go, all right, and I fucking yank it down. And I will tell you this, folks, enjoy this visual and this horrible pain that's going to shoot through you right now. When this is happening to you, and you're wearing a cotton brief, because at the time I didn't know about a boxer brief yet. I'm wearing like cotton, tighty whities, and gets a little sticky. And so imagine pulling a Band-Aid off your arm really fast. Now imagine if that Band-Aid was on your cock. So I go to pull my underwear down, like to show them, and it's just like that. It comes off because it's, again, there's discharge and it's all sticky and it's just like, and it comes out and I'm just like, fuck! Like I'm like, oh man. And the funniest part is like imagine if you were, it's like a movie. I'm there and I pull out my dick and it's just like, ow! And those three guys just go, oh! Like they just imagine like three faces. You know what it was like? It was like the scene in Pulp Fiction when they're going to put the adrenaline needle into Uma Thurman's fucking chest. And it's Travolta's waiting to do it, and Eric Stoltz is just looking at him, and then they show Rosanna Arquette, and she's got this face like, I can't fucking wait to see what happens next. So those three guys had those faces. They were like, we can't wait to see, because it was like Christmas morning, but they were unwrapping like the horrible cock. So it was just terrible. And then the bonus of it was that it hurt me. So they were thrilled by that. But I was like, I yanked it, and it made this like noise to the point where there was even like like a little cotton or stuck on me, and it was like, and they looked at it and they just went, oh man! It was like the scene in Beetlejuice when they're behind Beetlejuice's head and he goes, want to be scary? What do you think of this? And he goes, blah, and he makes his face crazy, and you just see those people like lose their minds. These three dudes lose their fucking minds. Because again, if you're a guy and then like you see that happening to somebody, because immediately you feel it in your balls. It's like if you see anybody get hit in the balls, you see anybody get, fall down. Whenever I see those skateboarders getting racked on the fucking walls, I can't watch it because all I think about is just, Jesus Christ, their balls are crushed. So I whip it out. These guys are just like, dude, whoa, you got to go to a doctor like immediately. And Craig, I was very disappointed because Craig went from medical professional to screaming 11-year-old girl in the pull down of my underwear. And I'm like, dude, you were my go-to guy. You're my strength here. And he's like, you got to get that the fuck out of here, seriously. And then then they freak out. They go, dude, did you touch anything in the shower? What did you use? What soap did you use? What did you do in that? And I go, yeah, I used soap, and they're just like, and they immediately go in and they just start like arm sweeping everything in the shower into a garbage can. And they're like, what towel did you use? And I go, this towel, and they throw the towel in. They just throw out everything that was in the shower, and they're like, did you use the toilet? And I'm like, no. And they're like, you sure? And it didn't matter. They still clean it. They like poured bleach in it. Like, I'm like, dudes. I mean, so now I'm starting to think maybe their medical knowledge not as extensive as I thought it was. As they boil the fucking bathroom and they're wearing hazmat suits. All of a sudden, it went from, ow, my dick hurts to the final scene of E.T. where the guys show up in the goddamn suit. Seriously, fellas. I need a little help here. So, I mean, I don't even have my dick put away before they've sterilized the goddamn house. So now they got to draw straws to figure out who's going to take me to the fucking doctor. I'm like, dudes, I need somebody to take me. We got to go. And then this debate happens. They're just like, all right, well, but we got to make sure that they know that we're not with you. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what, you're going to just like, drop me off and roll me out of the car at the fucking emergency room door? And then it dawns on me, they want to know that they're not gay. Like, they're not like my sex partner because they don't want to get roped into an examination. And I'm like, dudes, they're not going to think that you're gay just because you brought in your buddy with a sick dick. I mean, that's not going to happen. Is that what a doctor does? He immediately presumes that you're a couple and that something's wrong? So I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. You relax. So then it's decided that DJ and Ransom are going to take me because Craig has to work. And which means I lose my medical professional. He's out. He's got to go and handle dice all day and unfortunately live with the image of my cauliflower cock in his brain. So he's got to go ahead and take that to work. So these guys take me. And again, we're fucking, we're 20 to 25-year-old dudes who live in an apartment together. We have no money. I've got no insurance. We've got nothing. So we go to a free clinic. There's a free clinic in Tahoe that we have to go to. And the three of us walk in. And I mean, again, just the loneliest place on earth. Just this room of, the chairs, the plastic chairs you sit on in your school. It's just a room full of those. And a desk. So I walk up to the desk and there's a woman there, And I said, hey, I need to see somebody. And she's like, what seems to be the problem? And I'm like, well, I am having an issue in the groin region. Like, because I don't know what to say. And she's like, well, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. It's just, and then I turn around and Craig and Ransom are playing with a plastic dick that was like on the countertop. It has like, it's a plastic, hanging cock, and you can open it and look at the vas deferens and all that stuff. And they're cracking it open like an Oreo to see what's on the inside of it. And I'm like, you fucking idiot. Will you fucking put that down, please? And I look back at her, and thankfully, and she's young, and kind of cute. So then the last thing I want to, you know what? Can you just, all free clinics, can you hire fat old ladies to work the front, please? Because I would much rather deal with the steely eye of some woman who could be my mom than have to deal with like a hot chick who I might see in the bar later. You know what I mean? Because the last, that's the last thing you're going to do is go, hey, can I buy you a drink? I don't think you can. Ointment, take a fucking walk. So I'm talking to her, and she's like, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, there's a problem down there. And she's like, well, what is it? And is there swelling? Is it? And I go, there's a redness, and it's like you can't touch it. And Craig goes, or Ransom goes, it's all fucked up. Because again, they are thrilled it's not them. So they're off to the side of me. Again, they're fucking with this plastic cock, and I'm trying to talk to this woman, and I just go, it's red, and it's swollen, and it's like you can't touch it. And he just goes, yeah, it's all fucked up. So she, of course, laughs because that's funny, and I'm like, this is great. Aren't we having fun? So she's like, all right, well, you got to fill out this form. And at the time, I had to fill out the form, but I don't want to give... because you don't have to give an ID, so I don't want to give my real name. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what to do here, and so I filled it out because the thing is, I have to give my phone number if they're going to call me with results of some sort, because I don't know. So I start filling it out, and I fill out everything but my name, and the guys are like, well, what name are you going to give? And I'm like, I don't know, what name should I give? And they're just like, well, just go with like something that's like your name but not your name. So go with like Mike Smith. Like, what? Why? And they go, well, no, because if they call the house, we're gonna have to know it's for you. And I'm like, well, why don't I just go with something like, I don't know, how about Greg Craig? How about that? Wouldn't that be great? And they're just like, dude, you can't do that. That's fucking terrible. They're gonna call the house and don't use our fucking name and keep us out of it. And I'm like, all right. So I fill it out. I give my phone number and I give my address, and I turn in the form, and she's like, you didn't put down your name. I said, oh, okay. So I took the clipboard, and I filled it out, and I handed it back to her. She goes, Michael Jackson? I said, yeah. Hi, I'm Michael Jackson. And she goes, seriously? And I go, because I needed to keep Michael for when they called the house. Like, I needed, So I'm like, well, who else could I be? So I made it. The only name that came to mind was Michael Jackson. So she goes, all right, Mr. Jackson, have a seat. And I look over at Craig and Ransom, at Ransom and DJ, and they're just leaning back. And you can't see me do it, but she goes, all right, Mr. Jackson, have a seat. They'll be with you in a second. And I look at them, and they just go, They just give me the thumbs up, like, yes, Michael Jackson, fantastic news. Because it was the first name that came to mind, because I had to be Michael still. So all right, so so I'm sitting there waiting to get called, and they call me into the room, and now I got to meet with some old guy with a buzz cut. This is weird. Like, he's not even a doctor. He calls me into a side office, and he goes, all right, we need to talk about some things. Now, what's going on down there? And I said, are you the doctor? And he goes, no, but I have to fill out a report for him so he knows what to look at. And I said, trust me, he's going to know what to look at. I mean, the second I pull it out, everybody within a 2-mile radius is going to go, oh, holy Christ. And in the meantime, I must tell you, folks, I am in pain. Because it's sticking to my underwear, and I'm walking a lot of up, down. That's not good when this is happening. I mean, it's like, imagine like if you sucked on a hard candy and then you dropped it on your rug for an hour. and then you went to pull it off. That's what I got going on. So I'm trying to shift, and it's uncomfortable, and it's like I don't want to sit there. And he starts asking me every question in the world about, have you had sexual relations? And I said yes. And he's like, who with? And I go, someone I met at the bar. Like, because I am not going to drag Molly into this. Although it's starting to dawn on me, she might have dragged me into this. So I said, someone I met at the bar, and he's like, and what kind of sex did you have? And, I wanted to say athletic, but, but I didn't. I'm like, well, we had, sex. I mean, what are you looking for here? And he's like, well, I mean, did you have oral sex? And I said, yes, both ways, but nothing's wrong with my, because again, you're trying to fill the silence. So it's just this awkward thing where I'm talking to a guy who looks like a gym teacher with a fucking brush cut. And, so he's like, well, what kind of sex? Did you have oral sex? And I go, yeah. And he goes, did you give or receive oral sex? And I said, both, but there's nothing wrong with my mouth. So, I mean, I don't know if there's anything wrong with that. And he's just like, well, all right, we need to know what to look at. And I said, why the secretive attack here? Just tell me what's going on. And he's like, did you have anal sex? And I said, yes. And he goes, giving or receiving? And I'm like, all right. I was giving, and he's like, are you straight? And I go, you probably should ask that before the other question. But so I have to go through this whole interview where he asks me what I've done and who I've been with and where I've gone and what I hope to do with my life from this point on, and what I'd like to thank the Academy, and it's just this crazy fucking interview. So finally he's like, all right, the doctor will call you when she's ready. So I walk outside, and there's Ransom and Craig. So they're reading pamphlets of, like VD and you, so they're getting all that information. Apparently, living with someone with VD. So that's a pamphlet they want to familiarize for themselves with. And so I go and I sit down, and I'm waiting to get called. And it dawns on me that when I left the room with fucking Joe Hike Buzzcut, he says, all right, have a seat. The doctor will call you when she's ready. And I didn't realize that there was going to be a lady involved. It was tough enough talking to the woman at the counter. Now I got to go see a lady doctor? And again, I'm not a guy who doesn't think ladies should be doctors. By all means, go ahead and be doctors. But at the same time, this is a little embarrassing for me. I mean, at this point, I've just recently started showing my penis to ladies. Okay, so the fact that now he's not at his best and he's going to have to come out into a room full of strangers is a little disappointing. Because you want to make a good showing for yourself. You always want to make sure that you're at, maybe at half mast, or you're in the neighborhood, and you want to look good. And he's ill. He's not feeling good these days. He's a little down in the mouth. And that's probably the problem. That's why I'm in the room. So I get called in to see the doctor, and she comes in, and it's a little lady doctor. Thank God, not young, like not crazy young. But she comes in and she's like, what seems to be the problem today? And I said, well, I'm having some discharge and problems and redness. I go, I figured I could just put like a cream on it or something, but my roommates were adamant that I should come and see you. And she's like, okay, your roommates told you to come and see me? And I'm like, well, I had to go to them because this is new for me. Like, I've never done this, and I didn't know if they had anything to do with it. And she's like, okay, great. And she's like, well, drop your pants. And again, I've learned, so I'm not going to just I'm not going to pull it down. But I said, all right, this is an operation. This takes a minute because there's stuff in there, and it's my dick is essentially it's cocooned up like the people who were colonizing the planet in Aliens. They're all, when they discovered them underneath the heating towers, the cooling towers, and they were all cocooned up, and they were going to be hosts for the alien pods. My dick is essentially cocooned up to my underwear, so I've got to do everything I can to disassemble it. And so I reach in, and it's like a honeycomb. I've got to go ahead and get through it, and yeah, it's horrible. Enjoy that, folks. So I go ahead and I pull my cock out, and she looks at it, and she's like, "Oh, you've been busy, haven't you?" I'm like, yeah, I guess. I mean, so this is what happens when your dick is busy? Is that what you're saying? Like And I said, yeah, like I go, have you seen this? She goes, oh yeah. She goes, I see it every day. She goes, that's pretty much your garden variety gonorrhea with. Hold on, let me take a look. And she reaches down, she grabs it, and it's like it's really kind of tender to the touch. And she's wearing rubber gloves, which is not helping. And then she does she manipulates it, and she's looking all around, and she's I honestly, she should have put on like she should pull out a magnifying glass. She's looking at my cock like she's looking for clues. Okay, like I half expect her to just kind of lift it up and go, you know what? It was Colonel Mustard in the library with the rope. That's what happened to your dick. So she's analyzing it and looking, and then she's like, oh, hold on a second, and she's like, we've got to get a culture, so I got to know what's happening. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just give you my underwear if you want it. I mean, you can have that. That's going to have all the culture you need, quite frankly. And she's like, well, no, it's a little more complicated than that. Hold on. And again, she's got rubber gloves on, and that's not helping. And so she's holding it, and she takes a look and goes, hold on. And she turns around, and she comes back with a cotton swab, like a Q-tip. And I say to her, you know what? I go, if you're going to use that to get a culture, you got to be real careful because it's just, I mean, it's pretty tender. I mean, you see me flinching when you touch me, so just be careful there. And she's like, well, I'm not getting a culture from the outside. You need to hold on to something. And I'm like, what? And she goes, hold on. So she grabs my joint and she takes the swab and she goes in through the outdoor, folks. That's what I'm going to tell you. She Zeppelins me. She just fucking, she fooling the reins my cock like you wouldn't believe. And just goes swabby right up there. Boom. All the way up my dick. Like swabs right up. And I got to tell you, folks, it was blinding pain. Like it was not even... It wasn't like I didn't yell or yelp because I think I was so stunned that it was happening. It was this weird, like she just kind of like, like imagine cleaning the barrel of a gun with a brush. Okay. Well, then she's got my dick and this swab and just like, just go ahead and she's the key master and I was the fucking gatekeeper. and she went ahead and got a swab full of Gozer and got me the fuck out of there. And let me tell you, my Zool hurt for days. She wound up getting her culture and said she would run the test. And she's like, all right, I'll take a look at this, but I'm pretty sure you've got gonorrhea and with possibly a little side of chlamydia. Because God knows, why would I just have one? So she's telling me what I need to do and where I have to go. And I wanted to say, okay, things are great. I'll, top of the morning and I'm going to take off. But literally it was all I could do to just breathe, like to just stand there and just be like, like breathing to gather myself because, I mean, the outside was hurting. I mean, that, we had already established that there was a tenderness, there was a redness and a swelling and things were not good on the outside. But now it turned out that things on the inside were not feeling good at all. Cause she just fucking super swabbed me and put a Swiffer up my dick, which was not good. So, she gives me this cream that she happened to have. And then she's like, I'm going to prescribe some too. And then you also have to go get penicillin. So I fucking hoist them up and I walk out. And there's Ransom and Craig just sitting there. And the funniest part is Ransom and Craig are out there. And there's a girl now sitting in the waiting room. And another guy. And they're not together. They're separate. But Craig and Ransom, when I walk out, they're pointing at the chick. They're just like they want me to talk to the chick. Like I can't, because again, she's got to be there for the same thing I'm there for. And I guess they figure that, two wrongs will make a right. So why don't I just zip over and go, hey, how you doing? Apparently you like to fuck. So what do you say we go ahead and get out of here? So, and I wish I could say I did it. And I wish I could say I was on board with it and thought it was great. But it was all I could do to tiptoe out the fucking door because I had just had a goddamn fireplace poker rammed up my cock. And so I go home we go to get the prescription and I go get the cream and all that stuff and the penicillin and I start to apply it and I'm getting ready and I was off work that night and however I did have to work the next night. So I use the cream and I take the penicillin and things are much better the next day. I still have to go visit the laundromat, very quickly to get some things washed and cleaned and then I have to burn some things and throw some things away. But I also asked the guys not to say anything because again, we all work and hang out together with the same people, and so they're like, "Cool, no problem. We won't say anything." And so the next night I go into work, and I walk in, and the bartender just starts clapping. I'm like, okay, well then, thanks for keeping it to yourselves, fellas. And so they all night long, they start calling. All right, there's a comic. His name was Vic Dunlop. And Vic Dunlop was a comic who had, he had crazy eyes, and he was a prop comic. So all night long, they're calling me Vic Dunlop. Because Vic's initials are VD. So all night long, I'm Vic Dunlop. Hey, Vic Dunlop, what's happening? To people I know, to the bartender, to people in the bar, everybody. Hey, Vic Dunlop. Thanks, fellas. So I'm Vic Dunlop the whole night, but I get through the night, everything's fine, and I'm not gonna lie to you, as much pain and stuff as I was in, you're still macking on girls at the bar, kinda, and then of course they're like, hey, Vic Dunlop. Every time I'm talking to a chick, and I'm like, guys, so then that goes by, and then I work that night. Everything seems to be fine. I'm recovering nicely. The weekend comes, and I have to work the same night Molly works. And I've been trying to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do here. Like, I don't know whether to tell her or not tell her, but I got to tell her because, obviously she fucking did this. I mean, this is her fault. I mean, something in the water that she used in the blowjob, something in the creams or lotions that were involved in that crazy evening. Somehow her sheets, I don't know. In my brain, I'm trying to think of anything besides blaming her. Like, I don't know how to have this talk. I really don't. Like, part of me just wants to hand her a photo of my reddened cock and just go, hey, just a little tip for you. That happened, and you might have been an accomplice. I might be booking you for the murder of my penis. Or at least for the assault and battery on my penis. And, so she, at the end I see her and I'm like, hey, hi. And again, nobody knows that I banged her. Like, that was the thing, is I kept it quiet. So, the guys just think it was some chick I met in the bar. I was able to kind of keep it away, because let's put it this way. They deduced that it was Molly, but I was not giving that up. I was absolutely not saying it. I think the sight of my, horrible fucking cock drove they didn't care at that point who it was. They were just like, get this out of our house. They called Father Karras and my dick spit pea soup on everybody. And they were like, the power of Christ compels you. And, it spun its head around and told them to suck cocks in hell. So I wind up at work and at the end of work, I kind of hang around and I wait for Molly to come out. And I go, hey, can I bother you for a second? And she's like, you know what, Mike, I'm sorry, I can't give you a ride. And I go, no, I don't need a ride. I'm going to go to the goalpost and get a ride from those guys. I have to tell you something. And this is going to be weird. And she's like, what? She goes, I knew that what we did the other night was a mistake, and I knew it was going to be weird. And I go, no, that was cool. I mean, that's not the weird part. This is the weird part. And she's like, yes, I know, because you've now asked me 2 times for a ride home, and I'm trying to tell you that was kind of a one-time thing. And I get that. Believe me, if anybody gets that was a one-time thing, it would be me. But I have to tell you something. I don't know how to say it. Just give me something. And I'm sure she's thinking that I'm going to say, I love her. Like, I'm this weird, because you know how guys are. They're so stupid and they fucking step on their dick the whole time they're trying to talk to a girl. They're like, look, I just really want to talk to you about something, man. I got to tell you. And I don't know what to tell her. And like I said, part of me just wants to whip out my dick and go, hey, you see this cream? But finally I said to her, I go, look, I had to go to the doctor. Because after you and I had a great time the other night, there was a problem, and I needed to get something looked at. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I had a great time with you, as I mentioned, but unfortunately I went to the doctor, and it turns out that something happened to my penis. And because I don't know. Again, I'm trying to be gentle and nice. Like, I can't just go, hey, my cock's all fucked up. And I was like, so I'm trying to break the news to her in a nice way, but not blame her. You know what I mean? Even though, again, I fucking know it was her. There's nobody, I hadn't been, I hadn't been laid in like 2 weeks except for her. And then 2 days later that happens? Of course it's her fault. And she goes, all right, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about here. And I go, listen, I'm just telling you so you know. Like, for you, like, maybe you want to go to a doctor too, because something might be wrong with you and your vagina. And she's like, what is wrong? Why? Who are you? I'm waiting for her to go, who the fuck are you, Mr. Rogers? Seriously, because this is... I don't know what this... Because I don't want to go, hey, hey, your fucking snatch is all screwed up and it threw some crazy disease on me. I don't want to be that guy. And again, I'm 21. I mean, I'm new to this. This is all new to me. Fucking is new to me, let alone telling somebody they've given me a disease. She goes, what the fuck are you talking about, Mike? And I go, all right, look, I have VD. Like, I've got gonorrhea, and I think I got it at your house. Which, again, I don't want to blame her. I know I got it in her house. I just don't know how. Perhaps the soap I used in the morning, perhaps, in the bath. Maybe clean your bathtub. That's what I'm saying. Clean your bathtub, because apparently the scrubbing bubbles all attach themselves to my balls. So she looks at me and she goes, you know what, Mike, don't fucking bother me with this. And I go, because again, I think she knew, you know what I mean? And so she's fucking furious. And I go, look, I'm just telling you, I have to take penicillin, and I got like a cream, and there was a ripping involved, and she just slaps me in the face. Just fucking hits me right in the face. And I go, and I look, and I just go, all right, well, I guess we're done. She's walking away now, and I go, I guess we're done talking about this. But, you might want to go to the doctor. And she just fucking gets in her car and splits. And I limp over to the goalpost. And Vic Dunlop played foosball all night long while eating fucking mozzarella sticks. And that's my Black History Month story. You guys can get me at Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can write me at MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Remember that you can find Lily at Burlesque411.com. Go ahead and get her up and write her a note. And let's see, what else? Oh, I will tell you this. She does the Monday Night Tease show every Monday night at the 3 Clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. So go ahead and check that out. It's every Monday night at 10 o'clock. I will tell you that this coming Monday, February 23rd, I don't know who else is on the show, but I can tell you that your good friend Mike Schmidt is going to be hosting that show. It's the day after the Oscars, so I'm sure I'll have plenty to say about that kerfuffle. So come on out and check us out. That's February 23rd, Monday night at the Monday Night Tease. Go ahead and check us out at Santa Monica and Vine at the 3 Clubs, 10 o'clock on Monday night. And also remember that Lily's got a show at the Gardenia. You can go to Burlesque Nights. What is that site? BurlesqueAfterDark.com. Go ahead and check that out for any and all information regarding Burlesque and Lily and her nipples. So do that. And also, I'll go ahead and say this. My friend Lily Von Stupp was a guest on Paul Goebel's podcast. She sat between Paul Goebel and Jim Bruce and tried to, and continuously, literally all you'll hear is this. As she slaps their hands as they keep sneakily trying to grab her tits. So please, go listen to my friend Lily Von Stupp talk to Paul Goebel and Jim Bruce on the Paul Goebel King of TV podcast. Always a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing it. So now we've got Lily involved. So go ahead and enjoy that. And, like I said, you can get me Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com and also MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. So that's exciting. So that's fantastic. No word on the pilot, I can tell you guys that. No word on the pilot just yet. Who knows? It's still in play. I will tell you that it's not dropped off the face of the earth, although I thought it had. But a few phone calls, a little snooping on my part has proved fruitful, and I found out that everything's still in a holding pattern, which is great news in this town. Actually, it is actually really great news because, usually you're just hearing no, but to hear maybe is like, yay, but who knows? And it's so funny because it's tough to get any writing gig in this town now because every show is going without fucking writers because that's the whole deal. The reality quote unquote show where they'll hire one guy to shape and story produce, and then it winds up with no writers. And not that I should again, what have I written on? I wrote on Cheap Seats, which was great, which was actual comedy, and then I wrote on the Animal Clip Show, which was comedy, although with a hosed down comedy. But then there are shows that come out like, dude, go to YouTube and watch the clip, the preview clip of the Osbournes variety show. That's right. They've brought back Ozzy and Sharon and the kids, and they've given them a fucking variety show on Fox. And the worst part is they didn't hire any writers, and it became an issue with SAG with the Writers Guild. And so they just didn't hire any writers. And then they were on Craigslist looking for acts to be on the show because they weren't paying any money. All the money went to Ozzy and Sharon because Sharon is the fucking evil genius. And they put on Craigslist, they're like, do you want to meet the Osbournes? What kind of talent do you have? So they, anybody who could fucking eat ping pong balls or spray shaving cream in their eye or any of those motherfuckers could go ahead and go on. As long as they were willing to debase or humiliate themselves in some way to meet the Osbournes, they could be on a network fucking television show. And, meanwhile, regular talented people and actors and writers and stuff like that don't even get a fucking crack at it. But then again, honestly, do you want to be on the show writing for the Osbournes? What the fuck are you going to write? Page 1, Sharon! Page 2, good night! There you go. That's the end of your fucking show. Nobody's going to fucking watch that. You got to see the clip at YouTube because it's like this crazy crowd is cheering for Sharon and Ozzy. And then like Jack body surfs in on a skateboard and then Kelly's there. And then what they do is Ozzy works the drive-thru. Like at a Burger King, and a woman pulls up and she's like, I want a hamburger. And he's like, do you want a hamburger? Like that weirdness. And that was the idea that they came up with. Of course it's what they came up with because they don't have any fucking writers. And this is the punchline on it. The woman, like Ozzy keeps yelling at the lady. She finally comes around to the window and Sharon just throws a large fry on her. That's it. Ha ha. Fuck, it wasn't even like, there's no art to it. There's no like, hey, we fooled you. It's the Osbournes. It's like, fuck you. Where are these fries, idiot? That's what the punchline is on it. Oh, and then they trick some guy into making out with an old lady, and he can tell, but then he's making out, and the crowd is like, woo, who cheers that? Fucking murder yourselves. Honestly, they should have, if Ozzy's got that much sway over these people, Ozzy should just go, you know what, do me a favor, everybody put on your Nike shoes, and then drink this fucking poison and die. Sharon! Everybody needs to fucking die. Because honestly, if you're cheering that, or is that interesting or entertaining to you, just murder yourselves and others. Well, others like you, not others. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jag-off. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jag-off. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. 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 You're finished.